reconvening the regular board meeting at 5:34. Everybody should be on there. Anybody not on there right now? Okay. Revision, adoption, ordering of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Who was it? You gonna give it to Carolyn? Okay. Okay. Any questions, comments? No. Please vote. All right. Report out of closed session.
Mr. President, I do have a report tonight, a couple of items to read. In closed session, the board took action to issue a notice of non-reelection to probationary certificated employee number 170807, pursuant to Education Code 44929.21 subsection B, effective at the end of the 2015-16 school year, and directed the superintendent or designee to send out the appropriate legal notices. The roll call vote was unanimous. That's number one. Number two is in closed session, the board took action to issue a notice to the following certificated administrative employee that he/she may be released from his/her administrative position and reassigned per Education Code 44951, effective at the end of the 2015-16 school year, and directed the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate notices. That was employee 194560, principal on special assignment, educational services, and the vote was unanimous. Finally, the board met in closed session. The board took action to issue notice to the following certificated administrative employee that he/she may be released from his/her administrative position and reassigned pursuant to Education Code 44951, effective at the end of the 2015-16 school year, and directed the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notices. Employee ID number is 240283, assistant principal at high school, and the vote was unanimous. And that will conclude my closed session report, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. District update by the superintendent.
Well, thank you very much, and happy President's Week, everybody, and hopefully you're enjoying a nice week. It's different without the kids, and different for all of us that have been on the first floor for 2 months. I think HR is just thrilled that the superintendent's office and everybody else that's been displaced is now back upstairs.
We liked having family.
Oh, yeah. We were like the family after Christmas that just stayed maybe 2 months too long. Anyway, congratulations. I want to thank Candace and her team, especially Nick Newkirk, who made the moves seamless, especially for the superintendent who said that everybody else could leave, but he could stay and you could just put up a plastic sheeting. And, you know, he had to deal with quite a bit. So thank you very much, Nick, and Hector, for all your hard work and making sure the contractors did the right thing. It's a modern-looking office up there, and it'll serve the district for many years to come. Thank you both, and thank you, everybody. Okay, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Eliza Perez from the Riverside County Transportation Commission. She wants to give you an update on rail line safety. And with all the train activity that's going to be going on in Paris, it's important we keep our students safe. So, Eliza, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Dr. Greenberg. Before I get started, I just want to let you know, should I push it? Okay, there it goes. My name's Eliza Perez, and I'm the Public Affairs Manager for Riverside County Transportation Commission. And for those of you who may not know who RCTC is our acronym, we are the agency that improved the 74 to I-215 interchange. We widened the freeway through Paris and actually all the way down into Menifee. And we are part of the Joint Powers Authority with Metrolink. And we are the ones that constructed the Paris Valley line, and that's why I'm here today. We also are, I'll just give a little plug, for those of you who may be wanting to go on the 91 freeway this weekend. So who doesn't know about that 91 steer clear? We just want to make sure that everyone travels safely and gets to where they need to go this weekend. So please know that that will be a 55-hour closure.
Are they calling it the Corona-geddon?
We are not calling it that. We have branded it the 91 Steer Clear, and that's what we're asking you to do. So that's our agency in a nutshell. As we embarked on the Paris Valley line, we realized a couple of years ago that, this is a very underutilized rail that we needed to get out into the community, and we have, in a bilingual fashion, get out into the community to let the folks know about rail safety, because that's something that, and I'll show you pictures that we've seen people just have interacted with this rail as though it's a walking path for them. And so we aim to change the culture of how this community interfaces with the rail. It's a matter of safety. And here's that photograph, and every time I see it, it just sort of gives me chills. We have worked very hard. Anytime we've seen pictures like this, we've now ramped it up to where we've actually had the sheriffs out there actively telling people to get off the rail. They haven't seen trains, and we realize that, but that's something that we need to make very clear. Operation Lifesaver was a really good fit for us. That's what they do. They educate folks on rail safety, and partnering up with Metrolink has been a good partnership in terms of reaching out to the community, not only in the schools, but also out to businesses, the trucking industry, anyone that really interfaces with the rail. We took on the education portion of that, and it's a pilot program that RCTC has put forward, but this year I will be putting in our budget to make it a permanent program, because it is important. And as you probably know, education isn't just a one-time thing. We have to layer it year after year after year until the culture has changed. So that's part of our aim. Goals and strategies. I talked a little bit about Operation Lifesaver. We've taken on that education portion of what they do. They do enforcement, and they also do engineering on how they can make crossings safer, or areas that people get into in the rail, or in and around rails, and that's part of their engineering leg. If you see right here, we have the icon of C-Trax Think Trains, and I'll talk a little bit about that as something that we want to really push in this community. And we started a little contest, and I'll share with you that here soon. So these are just some sobering statistics, and this first one really gets me, because you think about how quickly 3 hours goes by, and every 3 hours a person or vehicle is hit by a train in the United States. That's a powerful statement, and it's very sobering, as I have indicated there. We've actually taken that line and put it on billboards throughout the corridor, and I don't know if you may have seen it, but that coupled with the C-Trax Think Trains, we're trying to layer, as I said, as many ways as we can to get into this community's head that the trains are coming and that they need to interact differently. So that's how our outreach began, and we really focused a lot in this Paris area. There's a long stretch of our rail through Paris, and we went about talking to residents about it, and then we started ramping up with getting into the schools. And like I said, we did have bilingual programs. We thought, well, some of these students, maybe they're little, maybe they're larger, they're not going to listen, but maybe if we can get to the parents. So we went to the parent-teacher conferences here this past beginning of the school year. And that really seemed to be a good fit, because you have the parent there and the child, and they're both getting the message, so it's like pointing fingers at each other. See, they want each other to be safe. So that was very effective. We've had, and I have to say, the schools in your school district have been wonderful in allowing us to get our message out there and welcoming us with banners and anything that we've suggested. That is the best way to outreach. In some ways, it was a kiosk that we had during their lunch hour, or we put banners or advertisements. They have all been very helpful, and it takes a whole effort in order to make it successful. So this is what we've done. We've like I said, we had kiosks at the schools, back to school nights, coffee with principal presentation, which was also very good. Banners, brochures. I have a host of things at the dais there for you to kind of look to see what we've been up to. Not everything grasps in everyone's mind, but we're hoping that at least one thing they'll take away and they'll get the message and start spreading it. This particular photo was taken at UCR, and that's another thing, just to show you the power of how people will flagrantly go across the tracks. They have a long-time tradition of going up this hill with the C on it. 60 years, they say it's 60 years, but we're saying actually to go on rail is to trespass, and that's pretty serious. And we don't want to interfere with their tradition. We just want them to do it safely, and these are college kids. So this is beyond once they graduate from your schools, go into college, and they still, basically don't really understand rail safety. So our hope is that by the time they get to your schools and up into college, that they will have better knowledge of it. One thing I want to point out, and this is something that people don't really realize in rail safety, it's that fourth bullet down about how quickly trains can stop. It can take up to a mile for a train going 55 miles per hour. So that's pretty significant. And people think, I'm quick. I can cross and they won't, I'll beat the train. But that isn't always the case. So how can you help? Just asking you to spread the word. You have your little keychain. You can put it on your keychain. Just any way that you can. Have that conversation with those that you know and let them know that this really is unsafe activity. And this is the exciting part of this presentation. We had a poster contest because what I wanted to do was not only get into the schools and send out that message, but I wanted, before we started running trains on the track, I wanted to have a second touch within the school year. So we had a poster contest, and we had a response that it was really tough to make the choices on who won, and they had some beautiful artwork, and I want to just share that with you. We wanted the theme of rail safety, the C-Tracks Think Train, and I think that many of your students within your school district showed that as shining stars. So I'll just flip through these quickly as we have the honorable mentions and leading up to the first place winners, so that you see the different schools that they came from. And we did give, this was prior to Christmas, we did give gift cards out to the students so that they could, have a little spending money prior to the holidays. Very creative. This is our first place middle school winner. And this is our high school first place winner. And that concludes my presentation. I have to thank you so much for letting us come here and spread our word, and we will continue to get into your schools and spread the word of rail safety until everybody gets it, I guess. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So we have a couple deputies here. We have a couple people from the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. So people are wondering, why are they here? Well, Candace is going to explain why they're here. It's a good thing, and so I'll let Candace give the kudos.
Yeah, we weren't worried about you misbehaving. That's not why they're But gentlemen, actually, if you want to stand up, you can make your way up to the podium. In the uniform is Sergeant Burke, and behind him is Lieutenant Q. And later on the agenda, but we didn't want to make them have to wait this long, is a donation. These two, as individuals, not through the Sheriff's Department, they're both very much into softball, and they donated a number of supplies to the Paris High School girls softball team. And so we just wanted to recognize you gentlemen and thank you for that, as well as your service to this district. If you don't know, we have a wonderful relationship with the Riverside Sheriff's Department, specifically the Paris station. They respond to our schools anytime we need anything. We can call them anytime, day or night. So we try not to call it night, but they're always there for us. So we appreciate that and the donation. And you're welcome to say a few words if you'd like.
I'm happy to be able to contribute to the high school. I saw a bit of a need with the school. I'm not trying to take anything away for the Heritage or Paloma folks, but there was a need there with Paris, and I was happy to contribute. And I look forward to a big fan of the athletics and the game, and with the teenage girls, got to keep them busy. I got a couple daughters myself, and one's away at college. She's played softball and is there on a softball scholarship. So looking forward to. I'm happy I could contribute.
We're just part of the softball fans, and my daughter's also playing, and we're both very hardcore softball dads. But when we felt the need, I think we're getting a little bit more momentum. The word's getting out at our station. People are saying, hey, can we bring this? Can we bring that? So we want to just contribute because, we want to give back to a certain degree as fathers. And we said, well, we're in a position, let's go out there and see what we can do. But thank you for the acknowledgement.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, gentlemen, both of you. You might recall, Governing Board, that at the last board meeting we had a little technology glitch with the active shooter video that actually was shown to all the classes at Paloma Valley High School. And so Sarah and Joe, actually I think Sarah's the one that was able to bring it up. Joe and Shane were struggling with it, but Sarah was able to pull it together. So Sarah, if you can show that active shooter video that, again, was shown last month at Paloma Valley High School to all students.
You let Shane touch it.
Oh, it was Shane's fault. Way to go, Shane. No pressure.
An active shooter
Thank you. Well, it's the reality we live in, and it's while it's not likely to happen, it's certainly we should all think about our surroundings and where we are and what would happen if. I think that's important for all of us, students, staff, parents, everyone. Whether you're at school or not, this is important anywhere. Did you want to say something?
Did they ever put the numbers on the buildings on the roof?
Art, Hector, do you have any answer to that? Numbers on the buildings?
So they can more closely tell where the shooter would be on the campus?
Sounds like no.
They're up on Paloma, the building letters. That's the only caption we have in that further right now.
Are they on the roof?
Yeah, they're on the roof.
So the helicopter that flies over can identify you.
And then we're going to do that with the other campuses.
Sounds like we are. So.
We haven't done the other campuses yet, but it will be done.
Another thing to add is, we're working on a new security camera project that, I don't know if you approved several months ago. We worked actually with the predecessor of Sergeant Burke, now Lieutenant Elwell, on that project, and we're really pleased that the Sheriff's Department in a situation like this would be able to have access to our cameras, which would then help them in apprehending the suspects.
Okay, moving forward to a much better topic. Grant and his department have been working with Riverside County Office of Education to make sure that all of our seniors submit FAFSA for federal student aid, that we get as many students as possible. Well, I'm really proud to say that with Grant and Julie and the principals, we actually made the video that the county is using countywide to encourage high school seniors to submit. So, Sarah, do you want to pull up that video? And it was filmed at Heritage High School, but with a Paris High student and our staff. It's really pretty cool.
When it comes to higher education, ultimately what matters is making sure that bright, motivated young people have the chance to go as far as their talents and their work ethic and their dreams can take them. Our higher education system is one of the things that makes America exceptional. People from all over the world aspire to come here and study. Making sure that more of our young people have access to higher education and can succeed and complete their work and get their degree, that has to be American issue. We are at our best when we rise to what the moment demands.
A lot of people run a race to see who's the fastest. Long stretches of hard work punctuated by brief moments in which we are given the opportunity to perform at our best. How will you pay for college when you enter this race of higher education? The human spirit is indomitable, but what opportunities will you race to find? The government sets aside funding every year to help you pay for college. Millions of dollars go unused because students don't apply. The race for education has started. FAFSA provides you with grants, loans, and work-study funds. You just have to seize the opportunity and get in the race. You must take a leap of faith and realize with your dream, you can make life what you want it to be. You can reach goals you never thought you could. All you have to do is get out of the blocks and run your race.
Well, congratulations to everybody that was involved in the production, Dr. Newman, Ms. Zerold, all the people that worked with you. Last year, CMI, I think, won, was the highest percentage of FAFSA completions, and Heritage was right up there with comprehensive high schools. I think finished second in their division, and our goal is to get Paris and Paloma up as well, because our students need to know there's money available to seek out post-secondary education or whatever they want to do in terms of a career. And so we are competitive, and we expect to win. And so Charles and Julie have made sure that we've got the numbers to shoot for. In fact, we're starting a strategy this year. Can I share that strategy? It's okay, because if other schools do it around the county, Dr. Rouse, if you steal this and bring it to Arupa, that's okay. We are going to know by our March leadership meeting which students have not completed FAFSA. So what we're going to do at the leadership meeting when we're done, every administrator is going to get a list of 5 to 10 parents that we're going to personally call on the phone that evening. So imagine how powerful it is when I contact a family and say, I'm Dr. Greenberg, I'm the superintendent of the Paris Union High School District, and I noticed you or your student haven't applied yet for FAFSA. So we're going to make those phone calls and try to get all of our students to apply. So we don't care, but don't share it with anybody else, Dr. Rouse. Arupa's fine, but nobody else. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, I really want to thank everybody who's been involved in this effort. It's been extremely successful. We don't have any more videos, so you're all done, Sarah, with that. I want you to know on February 11th, Mr. Grant Bennett and I attended the APAC Paris High School meeting. APAC stands for African American Parental Advisory Council. They had a meeting and an award, and Dr. Rouse was there as well. I'm sorry I missed that. And that evening, I was contacted ahead by APAC at Paris High School, and they wanted me to hand a service award to one Mrs. Jackie McDonald. And so I had the distinct pleasure of honoring Jackie for all of her community service, most recently making sure everybody that is eligible to vote votes, and encouraging people to get out and register to vote. But Jackie has done so much in our community, both here in this school district and in the city and everything else. And I think she was a little taken back that night that she was getting that award. And surprise, surprise, she was getting the award from me. So congratulations, Jackie. We're very proud of you. Some sad news, as the governing board knows, Jesus Parra, a student at Heritage High School, passed away on January 27th. It was a horse riding accident, and our sympathies go out to his family. And we also lost Sue Hawkins, the ASB clerk at Paloma Valley High School. She passed away about 10 days ago, and our condolences to their families. Okay, some good news from Heritage High FFA, because we want to balance. We talk a lot about Paris High FFA. We've got a big, strong program at Heritage, too. And this is from Jeremiah Perotti, who's a wonderful ag teacher out at Heritage High School. Congratulations. Heritage High FFA is doing big things in Southern California. Out of our 9 Riverside County winners, we have 3 Southern California region winners. They will be representing Southern California and Heritage FFA at state finals at a chance at a state title. We also have 2 regional officer finalists after a weekend of multiple interviews for an officer position on the regional officer team. Only 2 get slated in Southern California, and both spots went to Heritage FFA. For the first time in our school's history, we have a Southern Region officer overseeing thousands of FFA members. The junior Haley Wilcox is the Southern Region Officer candidate. Sophomore Sarah Shaver is Southern California Region Officer candidate. Senior Sean Randall is the regional winner for the Forest Management and Products. Junior Kalani Kohau is the region winner in the area of swine production. Senior Carla Monroy is the Star Chapter reporter for the Southern Region. And Mr. Bill Clough, assistant principal, is the Silver Star administrator for Riverside section. Please help me and congratulate these awesome accomplishments. So congratulations to Heritage High School. And while we're on congratulations, it may not be a big thing, but I think it's a big thing. This is from Greg Wise, who's one of our assistant principals at Pinacati. He says, as we head off for a much-needed break, I'd like to acknowledge an incredible accomplishment by 2 of our wonderful teams at Pinacati. During our recent visit from the Riverside County Department of Environmental Health, Pinacati scored an unprecedented 100% for inspection of our kitchen facilities. Please help me in congratulating Jackie and the nutrition services team, as well as Joseph and the custodial team for all their great work. Thank you so much, Jackie, Joseph, and our whole team for everything you do. And so proud that we now have a campus that is worthy of earning this distinction. And kudos, Mr. Marksberry, to your team to make that happen as well. Moving along, as everybody knows, last week we had a bus accident at Paloma Valley bus accident where the bus driver was making a left turn and was hit broadside by a vehicle going, we believe, close to 80 miles an hour. And the driver was under the influence. And when that happened, the word got out that we had mass casualties or students seriously injured. Unfortunate good news is that wasn't true. But the great news is we had 3 assistant principals at that campus. School was out for the day. It was a Wednesday early release. Mr. Williamson was back in Montana dealing with a family matter. Our 3 assistant principals went right out to the scene, helped arrange for a bus with Hemet Transportation, brought those kids all back to school, treated them to pizza, got them interviewed, and had them all released to their parents. They didn't ask for any help. They handled that all themselves. But I have to tell you, the star of the show on television that evening was none other than Candace Rains, who made sure that this accident occurred while I was at the DMV in Riverside. So Candace did a great job on Channel 7 and Channel 4, and I was kind of surprised. There was obviously nobody killed, and the seriously injured was the driver, and he's doing better, I understand. So I contacted Channel 4, and I said, you know, is there a reason why you're coming out? We love having you, but, you know, we have a lot of good things we'd like to tell you about. And I said, it must be a slow news day. And they said, Dr. Greenberg, it's the slowest news day we've seen in 6 months. So we're covering everything. So I said, yeah, you sent the helicopter out and everything. Wow. Anyway, good job, Candace. Really appreciate you being the face of the district, and clearly a much better looking face than they could have had. I would like now, Candace and your team, Joe or Shane, whoever you decide, tell us a little bit about the Google visit to Pinacati on January 28th, as well as the Ed Camp Paris that occurred on February 6th. So I'll turn that over to you.
So we'll tell you about the Dell visit to Pinacati Middle School.
Did I say the Google visit?
Yeah, Joe and I go visit Google.
I'm sorry.
Next weekend
I should have said Dell.
After. That's okay.
Dell, Google, it's all technology to me.
In the student ASB update last month, they discussed and they stated that Dell was going to come out to Pinacati Middle School, and about 10 or 11 workers from Dell, all from different areas. Some of them were programmers, some of them were engineers, some of them were their social media consultants, some of them were the contracts. They came out and did the first 3 periods as a focus group for the students in class, did some introductions, spoke with the students. The students asked a number of questions. Now, I don't know when's the last time these Dell workers had been in a classroom, but they did let me know right after the questions some of the best questions that were asked. And some of the best questions had nothing to do with tech and all had to do with girls and cars and all this other kind of stuff. But they thoroughly enjoyed it. But they spent the last half of the day making and working in the engineering classes and working with the maker spaces. And they stayed after school and worked in the maker spaces also. It was a very productive meeting, and it kind of informed us on what we want from our vendors and our partners to come out and work with our students. And the second thing I'd like to cover is Ed Camp Paris. As I tell you often, Paris Union High School District is a special place to work, and we are doing really great things, and one of those things is Ed Camp. And Ed Camp is a gift to teachers. It truly is. Ed Camp is an unconference where any teacher in the region can sign up to attend. We, as the host, provide excellent facilities, and of course, Pinacati Middle School was showcased as the excellent facilities. We used the new building and the new makerspace. And as good hosts, we were able to get donations for food. We were able to provide the facilities for the conversations for each session. We were able to barbecue. Grant was the chief barbecue. He did a great job. Other
duties as assigned.
And
I do have to mention the food, because you guys have all heard the joke where the wife does all of the preparation and then the husband does the cooking, and everyone says, "Oh, thank you, Grant." But shout out to our nutrition services department who did all the preparation, and Grant just worked the grill.
Well, I was going to say that, but I wanted to acknowledge the elder statesman first and then move to the other one. But
I resemble that remark.
But I do appreciate that Laura and Kim were both there, and it was excellent. And again, as I say, this is a gift to teachers. But my only regret is that that we don't get more of our own teachers here. 50% of the teachers in attendance were Paris Union High School District teachers. We have about 400 teachers, so I was kind of hoping to get more. But I'll tell you, we were represented by Menifee, Paracel, Val Verde, Romoland. Of course, San Jacinto sent their team, even a few that couldn't make it early. They came just to get an understanding of what we're doing. And EdCamp is a gift to teachers. It's where educators get to choose their own professional development. And this is, of course, our logo. So again, Paris Union is a special place to work, and EdCamp will be a second semester mainstay every year. We'll offer that every year. Oh, and I can kind of tell you in one of the pictures, one of the things that we did, if that cycles through, is we gave every teacher a big type of Post-it note that was a hot air balloon. And they wrote words of affirmation they're right here, for the students. And then we put them up on the wall in the building. So when the students showed up on Monday, they would see notes from their teachers saying, that we care about you. And lastly, and this was not planned at all, a CMI student who volunteered, he came up at the end and he jumped up on stage when we were debriefing and he said, "I just want to tell you, this is exactly what we want teachers doing. This is exactly what we need teachers doing. We need teachers to do more of this. And I'm going to let all my teachers know that this is what you should be doing. This is what we need." Thank you.
And one last thing while we're on the subject of technology, board members, you all have Chromebooks in front of you. And we talked about this, I don't know, I think when we first got Chromebooks. But those are yours for the board meetings, but you're more than welcome to take them home if that's easier for you to access the board agenda or any of your district or other business. So just let Joe know. Or Shane, whoever you want to talk to. Sarah.
Thank you. Judy Miller's not here tonight. She's under the weather, but I wanted to recognize her. Judy is the AXA Region 19 Classified Administrator of the Year, our only AXA winner this year. And those of us that have worked, I've known and worked with Judy for a dozen years, but she does a phenomenal job for us in everything that she does, and safety and risk and health care and you name it, Judy's on it. And so we hope she gets better, but we're going to congratulate her in May. There'll be a special dinner in Riverside. I think it's in Palm Springs this year to recognize her. So congratulations. And congratulations to Mr. Hector Gonzalez, who was a semifinalist for the Riverside County Classified Administrator of the Year. Now, Hector wasn't the eventual winner, but we have a reason why. They couldn't give it to us because we've won in this category 3 out of 5 years. We had Leslie Venelith, we had Jeff Perez, and we had Art Fritz, of course. Where's Art? He's not even here. I'm not even going to recognize him. He's not even here. He's outside. Okay, we'll give him credit. So we had run 3 out of 5 years, so I don't think the county could give it to you, Hector. So, but as far as we're concerned, you are the bomb. You are really great at what you do and all the facilities work, and congratulations for your outstanding service. Speaking of that, I got recognition for 2 people that I work very closely with, and it wouldn't be these 3 people to my left. Good morning. Assemblyman Jose Medina yesterday, this was last week, February 11th, announced that Lori Ortel and Sarah Rico are going to be recognized next month as 2016 Assembly District Women of Distinction Award recipients. The award coincides with March being Women's History Month. Lori and Sarah will be recognized next month at a luncheon in their honor at the Riverside Marriott Hotel. As all of us know, Lori and Sarah are remarkable women who not only do an amazing job in support of the board and me, they also coordinate our fabulous Student of the Month program here in the district. I couldn't be more proud of them. Please join me in congratulating Lori and Sarah for this well-deserved award and recognition. And as you know, our district has always been a leader in this organization called CAEOP, and I don't even have to look at it, California Association for Educational Office Professionals. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to cheat. CAEOP. They're also involved in RCAEOP, and they're going to be hosting, our people are in charge of this, going to be hosting their annual conference February 25th, 27th at the Queen Mary in Long Beach, which is a special place for me because it's where my wife and I were married 39 years ago. So, yeah, I'm that old. Anyway, congratulations, Lori and Sarah, and everybody in the district who worked so hard to put this on for our office professionals. We really appreciate it. And that'll conclude my report this evening.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Greenberg. PSEA President, Vicki Mueller.
We're so happy she's walking.
No back brace, no walker. I'm getting there, slowly but surely. Thank you, Board President, Cabinet, for allowing me this time to speak. As you know, it's that time of year again where we sunshine for contract negotiations. However, I'm disappointed that the articles for the district to sunshine were not on the board agenda. We started this process. We gave the district our sunshine articles January 22nd, and we were assured that the district would have theirs within a week. We were told they were unable to sunshine until March board meeting, and we would not be able to meet until after that. I do not understand why choosing 3 articles is that difficult. We started this task ourselves back in October with our members to make sure that we had an understanding of what we wanted to do. It's also a contract violation, and it clearly says Article 3, page 3, lines 3 and 4, unless mutually agreed, negotiations shall commence no later than the first week of March in compliance and contingent upon compliance with Sunshine Law. So, it's just very disconcerting that we're going to start behind, because I don't want to hear that we're stalling, because that's what we've heard in the past. And I don't want to hear that. I want to keep this relationship that we've worked so hard to build. I don't want it to go away. So, I don't know how we move forward from this. It just feels icky right now. So, I don't know any other way to say it. I've also been involved in some of the meetings for the non-reelect teachers. This was the highest amount of non-reelect teachers that we have had in many years. I have concerns regarding how some of these decisions were made. Some of the teachers that were released were blindsided. They had no idea that they were being let go. And I've been assured in the past that should never happen, and yet it did. I have a question, though, for some of the new teachers that were non-reelected. Have you considered including in your decision-making consulting their BITSA mentors, having them in that room? And if you know early on a teacher, whether they're a new teacher or a new to the district teacher, that they are struggling, giving them a book to read, telling them to watch a video is not enough. They need to see modeling. They need to see many more things than just being given a book, Why Do Black Children Sit in the Back of the Room? And we can have a conversation if you want to about where that happened. It seems that some of the decisions were politically motivated, and that maybe there were some other things at play. I'm not saying all the teachers that were released were amazing teachers. I thank you for looking at the one and retaining that teacher. I think he has a bright future with us. He just needs help. And I truly appreciate that. But we have to do better. And it's not just for new teachers, but I think current teachers. And speaking to something that was brought up, and I wrote it very quickly, I have some ideas that PSEA could do to help encourage some of the teachers to attend these ed camps. And I'd like to do some collaboration and maybe get more of our teachers to attend. So maybe during PRC next week, sitting here, I jotted down 10 things that maybe we could do to encourage more teachers to attend. It's just some ideas. I also want to say, coming from a state, actually 2 states, I lived in Missouri and Illinois, and 2 of the highest, those 2 states have the highest number of deaths from meeting trains and pedestrians. So I started talking to my kids long before they came to the school, because I do come from an area where trains and pedestrians, trains and cars. Missouri, and we're in Illinois, there's not even arms. The bells just go off. So, I mean, people will be crossing and there's no crossing arm. You just got to watch. And a train cannot stop for you. And that's what I tell the kids. And I was really impressed because they asked me to quickly go through the artwork and kind of pick which ones I thought. And it was interesting because the one I said, this is it, this one's good, is the one that got picked. So I just need to pat myself on the back for that one. And I'm not teaching art this year, so that was kind of hard for me. But I was very honored that they asked me to come and look at them before we sent them off. Other than that, I just want to say thank you again for giving us this time. But I think that we have to do better for struggling teachers. You know, we used to, in the summer, with Marcy, have several sessions that we would run. And now we do them in 2 days. But I think we need to look at some more things, maybe even some after school on those early release days, you know, some intensive stuff. And really focus on some classroom management skills for some of these new teachers. Because I don't think it's content that they're lacking. I think it's confidence, and I think it's classroom management. They say it takes 5 years to become a good classroom management teacher and 10 years for your content. We're letting these people go at 2 years, you know, and giving them a sentence like that. So let's do more. And I'd be more than happy to share some ideas. Thank you for your time. And Bella has been quiet the whole time.
Thank you, Vicki. We have a section later.
Program, right?
We have a BITSA program, yeah.
So they're all the teachers.
All the teachers that are qualified or involved in BITSA, yes.
Okay, thank you.
CSEA President Claudia Davis.
Good evening, President Ellison, school board members, Dr. Greenberg, and Cabinet. I can't believe that February is almost over, and we just celebrated New Year's. Does that mean I'm getting older? No. Okay, we, CSEA Chapter 469, are a little disheartened because we told the district in October that we wanted to get out of REAP. At that time, we didn't know it would be a problem. When we told them again, when we went into negotiations, that we wanted to leave REAP, we were told at the time that they would have to give you, the board, their recommendations. If we knew it was going to be this hard and have to be brought before the board, we wonder why we weren't told that in October. The fact is, we feel that our health and welfare is being held hostage by REAP. because we now cannot leave REAP for another 2 years if you decide not to let us leave REAP. Please understand that if REAP's prices are the better ones of all the other companies we look at, we will stay with REAP, but we do not like the fact that we are locked in for 2 more years. Thank you and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Claudia. Invitation to address the Board of Trustees on agendized and non-agendized items. We'll go through the statement again, shall we? Do we have to again?
That means yes.
Yeah, that's a yes. That's a yes. Okay. Okay, bear with me. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda and non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that the additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. That being said, I have one, Ms. Jackie McDonald on APEC.
Sometimes I just don't want to be formal. You know, good evening, board members, Dr. Greenberg, cabinet, and all my fellow citizens. First thing I want to say, FAFSA, the free application for financial student aid. Also, if you make sure all juniors take the PSAT, that's the only way they qualify for Thurgood Marshall scholarships, for all kinds of other money. So kids need to know that. That was that. Okay, I attended the African American Parental Advisory Council's first annual Black History Month Awards ceremony on February the 11th, 2016 at Paris High School. The theme of the evening was, quote, a diamond in the rough, and they referred to the students as the diamond in the rough. It was well attended, a very inspirational evening with awards given to students, not just me, to students who have excelled so far this year. The top 4 GPA girls and boys, Gold Award recipients, those kids who had 3.0 and above, and Silver Award recipients, those kids who had 2.0 and above, and the most improved. Awards were also given to others, including one to me, a Community Service Award. I wish to thank APAC for the honor and Dr. Greenberg for introducing me and presenting the award to me. APAC meets at Paris High School the first Monday each month, and I intend to attend future meetings to assist in any way I can. And somebody said, uh-oh. So anyway, that's all I have to say today. And thank you again, Dr. Greenberg.
Thank you, Jackie. Consent calendar, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any questions, comments? No? Please vote. Questions? Thank you. Introduction of promoted and or new employees?
None this evening.
Thank you. Report on the district's federal program monitoring review.
I'll turn this over to Mr. Bennett. He and his team did a fabulous job, led by the incomparable Diane Martin. So she's back well among the living again. And
President Nelson, Board of Trustees, Dr. Greenberg, and fellow cabinet members, I want to thank you for this opportunity to share about our FPM. FPM is kind of like having an audit, basically, on different programs within the district. They come every 4 years. Sometimes it can be an online. This time it was on-site for certain programs. Our review was on February 2nd through the 4th, just a couple weeks ago. And what they came in, they looked at district programs. They looked at compensatory education. They looked at our English Learners program. They looked at our for educational equity, career technical education, fiscal monitoring, which dealing with our Title I program. Career technical education, they visited 3 different sites. They visited Heritage High School, Paloma Valley High School, and Paris High School. And they went out to all of our CTE programs that we have on those sites to see what we were doing. Paris High School was the school that was selected for review this year. And they looked at a couple programs specific to that school, compensatory education and English Learners. So we were... the process is pretty intense over a real short period of time. They came out and the very first day they came and they interviewed district personnel that deal with the different programs. They met with the parent advisory groups, our ELAC, DLAC, school site council. So they came in and talked to all those people. The people that are over the educational equity has to deal with a lot of it was the Title IX issues with athletics. So they met with our athletic directors, other members of our staff. They went the next day. They went to Paris High School, and they interviewed the staff that are funded through the different programs, whether it be Title I or some of the other funding streams that we have. They did classroom observations. They reviewed documents. So it was pretty intense for the school that one day. The next day they came and all they do is give you your findings, what they saw. And they told us at that time that the average district gets between 12 and 15 findings on a visit. Last time when they came out 4 years ago, we received 11 findings. As you can see what I gave you just a few minutes ago, we had 3 findings this year. So we were very happy with that. 1 was in educational equity, and 2 were in our English Learner program. The results I gave you there in the educational equity, that had to do with when we get a complaint turned in, that we need to make sure we have a strong process to investigate and then get back to the complaintee. So we're making sure we're shared back with them, and that we had a little hole in our process there, and Tanya already has that under control to correct that. In our English Learner program, there were 2 areas that they saw, and it had to do with reclassification. Now we changed our reclassification process just a couple months ago. The board voted on that. But what we haven't been doing a very good job is once we do reclassify kids, is monitoring for the next 2 years. So that's something Charles has already met with his team, with the EL leads, and they have a really strong program ready to go that they're going to be putting in place. The other one was the access to the core subject matter, and that they complimented us on the amount of professional development we've done with our staff to get them ready. But the follow-through on that, they didn't see that we had that strong enough yet. So we're going to be working on that. We're going to be bringing back some of our support programs for the ELs 3s, 4s, and 5s to make sure we're supporting those kids in the core content area, because that's where they're struggling the most, is when they get out into the core content area. So, looking at grades and things like that, they saw where our hole was, and we agreed with them. We felt like we do need to improve in those areas. So, the team over at Ed Services has put together a good plan to reach that. We have 45 days to submit a plan for resolution. And if we can't get it done in 45 days, we have to ask for extension. The first 2 areas, the educational equity and the first one in EL, we feel like we'll be able to have that one in place. The second one, which has to do with putting in those supports and things like that, we may have to ask for the 90-day extension so we can make sure it's fully in place and ready to go. The other ones we'll have ready to go within their 45-day limit. Really, we were very proud of how it turned out with the few findings that we had. We want 0, but just like going in and getting your taxes audited, they're going to find something wrong with you. That's their job. That's how they pay their bills and make a living, is they find things that you're not doing up to speed. Just like a school goes through a WASC, they're going to find something that you can improve on. Mr. Gundis?
How many days of school are there?
What do we probably have about 60 days.
So when we get that 90 days, that means that if we use up
we'll be submitting the forms and things like that, but really a lot of those things would be taking place to start in the next school year to be able those supports in place and things like that. The amount of work that went into putting this together was immense. There was, I think, in EL, Charles, you told me there was 27 categories, and you had to do 67 submissions on evidence that they wanted on that. And each of the different categories, those 5 areas, it was probably about equivalent. So the people that really stepped up and took care of it. Jonathan brought up the first person, Diane. She's our FPM queen, as we're calling her now. She deserves a crown for all the work she put in. She worked very hard on this whole thing, getting people organized. And Charles was the lead for our EL part of this program. He did a great job. Drew Morgan, who's been been a very key part on what a lot of things we're doing over there, took educational equity and really pushed us to a higher level where we're putting things now about all the different significant groups, how we're not going to discriminate against anybody, and putting that on our applications for jobs. We're putting that on our websites. We really have expanded. So he's done a great job. And then in fiscal services, Jennifer Prince just did an awesome job in keeping us straight, making sure we had no findings in the area of compensatory education, career technical education, or fiscal monitoring. All 3 of those areas came out totally clean. So we were happy with that. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions if you have any. No? Good. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Information item on discipline, suspension report. We have a motion for 2016 CSBA Delegate Assembly election. Do I have a motion, please? Yes.
You have up to 6.
Okay, board as a whole may vote for 6 vacancies in the region or sub-region. The list of candidates is listed right there.
Well, do you need nominations or what? That's how we did it last time?
Yeah, I believe we'd take nominations.
Well, I'm real prejudiced towards Tom Elliott and Vernisha Green Jordan.
Gee, I wonder why.
I wonder why.
So it looks like we have nominations for Thomas Elliott.
Tom Elliott and Vernisha.
Does anybody else have any other nominations?
Ben Johnson and Marla Kirkland.
Yeah, it would be 4. We can go up to 6.
Excuse me. No, anybody else?
Trustee Mueller.
Okay, so you want, who else do you want? So say Scott. Do you want Scott?
Okay, Susan Scott.
All right.
So we have 5.
Up to, so we don't have to vote for the others. And okay. So
anybody?
I move nomination be closed.
Second.
Okay. Okay, we need to take a vote on these 5.
Yep.
All in favor? The 5 that were nominated: Thomas Elliott, Vernisha Green Jordan, Ben Johnson, Marla Kirkland, and Susan Scott. Is that correct? Those are the 5 that were listed?
Yes.
Okay. All opposed to nominating those 5 from our district, say aye.
All opposed?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. My bad. Whoa.
Got us.
Hold on. Actually, we can do a vote here. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. My bad. Okay, so we are nominating those 5. Please vote.
Okay. It's all right. You did good, buddy. Yeah,
It's all right. Okay, thank you very much. Action item: board authorization to teach in a single subject area. Ed Code 8005B. Do I have a motion?
So
Second. Do we have any information on this?
No, these are just two teachers at Pinacati who are teaching Avid, and according to the county office, we need to board authorize them.
Okay. Any questions? No? Okay, please vote. Thank you. Okay, and this is 15.3 PSEA submitting their sunshine for negotiations for the 16-17 school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Go second.
Okay, Joan and Ed. Do we have to conduct a public hearing? So we're going to begin the public hearing at 6:40 p.m. Yeah, sorry. 6:40. Do we have any speakers on this item? None. Okay. We will close it at 6:41. Please vote. Thank you. Okay, action item resolution, accept the transfer of fee ownership for high school number 4, what we did earlier, but down from the other side. Do I have a motion? Don't all jump on this at once. Thank you. Okay. We're just voting to essentially accept the ownership of high school number 4, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And
Please.
we will need to have this notarized tonight, so Anna, my assistant's on her way back to get your
Okay.
signature and all that good stuff.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, please vote. Not usually. Thank you. Okay, reappoint designated members to the Paris Union High School District Measure T Citizens Oversight Committee and authorize acts to seek replacements for vacant Measure T Citizens Oversight Committee members' positions. Do I have a motion? Any information on this one?
Yeah, just real briefly, this is going to bring us in compliance. We did not realize there was a change in the law, and when we took some of the original members, we brought them forward for 2-year terms when the law allowed for 3. So this will bring us in compliance so that they all would be on a 3-year term. And then, secondly, we have one vacancy we're still trying to recruit for. That was Lee Tenkesley, who passed away. And then we just had a member resign, Lisa Spetz. So we'll begin, upon your authorization tonight, recruiting for that position as well.
Any questions? Nope. Okay, please vote. Thank you. Information item, employee morale survey.
Yes, as Mrs. Davis moves towards the podium, Governing Board, you might remember a few years ago we did an employee morale survey, and rather than create a new one, which we had some thought, we just decided we'd compare apples with apples and do the same survey. It's an anonymous survey. So again, we are able to track what schools were involved, but I'll turn it over to Tanya to share the good news with you.
Well, good evening, everyone. We did add some new questions. We didn't use the exact same survey, so please know that there are some repeats, and they're about 9. Almost half of the questions are the same as what we did in May of 2013. So I will go.
So you had added the new questions. For what reason? How? I mean, why did you add new questions? Not opposed to it, but just I need to understand that.
What happened was I was not privy to the survey that we did in May of 2013. So as I was gathering the data, I had some draft questions and I had the actual questions. So I combined all of them so that we would just have about 20 questions. I thought they were good questions, and I think the ones the 9 that we had that were the same are going to show some comparisons about how people felt in 2013, and then we had some good ones to throw in there. So
I guess when I think you'll point out question by question.
I absolutely
which
will.
is a new one. But I think it was important. We asked all the other questions that were asked before. Were all asked again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, was it to broaden the scope? So you can get a better picture rather than being so limited with only 9 questions.
Yeah, and we're in a different time than we were in May of 2013. Okay. So, yes. Okay. So let's see. First of all, the survey statistics. I've listed the number of certificated, classified, and management employees that we have, and then the amount of respondents that we had. So you can see the number that responded to the survey. We have a total of 919 employees in the district.
Is that the same as last time we did it, or
you know what?
Pretty close.
I didn't.
Larger, more participants.
I would say that we have more than 2013, but I don't have that data for you right now.
No, as compared to last year. So Jonathan is saying there's more this time around. More respondents.
We have more. Well, we have more. I think this is a higher response rate than we had the last time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you asking a response rate, or do we have more employees?
We have more employees. That's a given. But
I didn't understand the question.
Okay, the response rate is what? Was that better?
You know what? I didn't include that. I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll get that to the board.
Yeah, I can get that for you. And then we have the years worked for the district. So those that responded, 35 that have worked less than a year for the district. 1 to 3, 63, 4 to 6, 50. More than 6 years, 249. We had a total of 398 respondents, which I thought was a pretty good response rate. Now, not every question required an answer. So you'll notice as a survey, if they weren't required to answer it, we may not have 398 responses total. Does that make sense? Okay. And then you can see the percentage answered by site, which doesn't surprise me that we would have higher numbers at Heritage and Paloma. Paris was at 12%, Panacotti at 7%. So you can see those percentages. Do you have any questions? Okay. I can't explain the response. This is an anonymous survey, so I can't explain why they didn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just guesswork, right? I mean, it mirrors our voting in the national or any elections that we have is real low. So that's kind of sad,
Yeah.
But it is what it is, right?
It is what it is, and unfortunately, I can't explain why someone didn't respond. Construction. Oh, construction. That's a great response. Okay, question 1, the district office, both district administration and student services center responds to inquiries and requests for assistance from employees in a timely fashion. You can see the individual breakdown on the right-hand side in the pie chart, and then I summarized all of the agrees, the disagrees, and the neutrals so that you could get a clearer picture of our positive and areas of growth. Now, this was a question that was asked in 2013, and our agree area is down by about 3%, but our disagree area is down by 3%. So that tells me we had movement in both areas. Okay? Question number 2. Employees were asked if they were given full and complete information when they asked questions of district officials. This was the same question asked in 2013. We had no change in the agree response. However, we were down by 7% in the disagree area, which I think is really valuable. Question number 3. I receive adequate information about changes in board and district policy. That was not a question asked in 2013, but you can see we have a 55% agree and 20% that disagree. Question 4, the board and district administration encourage comments from staff into the decision-making process. The summary is let me back up. That was a question that was asked in 2013. The agree has been increased by about 3.5%, and the disagree is down by 7%. So we do have good movement there. Question 5, district administration treats me as a valued employee. The respondents 62% agree and about 20% disagree. That was not asked in 2013.
Good question.
Thank you. Question number 6. District administrators are visible at the school sites. That was a question that was asked in 2013. The agree section of 63% is an increase of 4%, and the disagree is down by 10%.
Now that I just want people to know that the people at Paloma should have voted 100% yes, because I've been principal for 2 days in the last month at that school. So Brian used to be the principal there. What's going on? Now the Paloma people need to support me on that.
Brian was an AP under you one day.
Exactly, and you did a darn good job.
Okay, question 7. Staff throughout the district have a customer service approach. That was a question that was asked in 2013. The 61.9% in the agree area is up 4%, and the almost 21% disagree is down by 6%. Question 8, charges and complaints against employees are handled in a timely and professional manner. Agree is 33%. That is down by 1% in 2013. Disagree is 17.5%. That is down by 12.5%. So we have a lot of neutrals, and that tells me that probably unless they have a complaint,
yeah, neutrals.
They
are
don't
good.
have.
That's a good sign.
That's a good number in the neutral category
because they haven't had problems.
Absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you. Okay, question 9. Opportunities for face-to-face communication with district administration are adequate. That was not asked in 2013, and you can see that we have 54.5% agree, 17% that disagree. Question 10. The district provides quality education. That makes me feel really good, and that the ed camps that we're doing, and that is a new question. But thank you. Can I hire you? But that tells me that we're doing a lot of great things. It's support the ed camps work, technology's working. Our employees feel good about what we're doing. Question 11. All schools have equal access to educational materials such as computers, monitors, science labs, and art classes. We've got 57% agree, 23% disagree. That was not asked in 2013. Question 12. Staff at the district office are respectful of diverse cultures. Of the respondents, 71% feel that we do, and 8% disagree. Those are really good response rates. Number 13, the school district has a high level of commitment to academic excellence. We've got 73.8% agree and 12% disagree. So it sounds like we're working in the right direction. Number 14. I am optimistic about the future of the district. That was a repeat. I can't take credit for that one. But that is, that 73% is an increase of 8% over May of 2013, and powerful reduction in the disagreement area by 10%. So we had really good movement in both areas. Question 15, school site staff are respectful of diverse cultures. That is a new question. So we have high responses there. Almost 75% agree that the site staff are respectful of diverse cultures. 7% disagree. So question 16, the morale in my department side is high. I want to preface this question because I want to give kudos to the board, who a couple of years ago said that morale needs to be a focus in the district, and we pulled together a committee, and we've done quite a few things. So I think this question tells us that. Although 53% is not in the 70% range, this answer is an increase of 14% over May of 2013. And even more powerful is that 31% is a decrease of 20%. So that tells me that we are definitely doing some really good things in regards to morale. And we know we're not perfect. We know that we have areas of continued growth, but those are really significant changes, and they show that we're doing some good stuff. Question 17. When I have questions or concerns, my principal and or supervisor are able to address those. We have 71% agreement. This is a repeat, and it is up by 14%. And the disagreement of 19% is down by 12. So I know that was a question. I've been here 8 years, and I know that was always a concern we heard often, was that my principal or my supervisor can't answer the question. So this tells me that we've improved in that area.
So really the change is 20 somewhat, I don't know if you add the two figures, because there's a big change.
Yeah, huge. And then the last question was, overall, my principal or supervisor is doing a good job. Of the respondents, 76% believe that their principal or supervisor is doing a good job, and about 14% disagree and 10% neutral. So, again, I just want to highlight, or at least say thank you for making employee morale a priority as a board, and thank you, Joan, for pushing to have this. I know you really wanted us to come back out and do this survey. And Bill got the ball rolling a couple of years ago, but I appreciate you pushing that, and this tells me that we're doing really good things, and we still have areas to grow. No organization is perfect, but this helps give us a little path to follow, and we will focus on these results and move forward. Do you have any questions?
I just have a comment. We're going in the right direction, and that's all we wanted, right? I mean, to get a handle on this thing, and it seems like that's what's happening. So thank you for adding those questions, because it did broaden the scope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Board members, I'd like to tell you, as a U.S. history teacher at heart, the history lesson here is that in 1980, Ronald Reagan was elected president over Jimmy Carter in a landslide, the greatest landslide since FDR was elected president in 1932. His popular vote percentage for a landslide was 59%. 59%. So when you're looking at these in the 70%, I mean, I'm not saying we don't have room to grow, but as a board, I hope you know that we're following your wishes. And I know, Mr. Gundez, you were a part of this too. You wanted us to improve morale, and we know we need to continue doing that, while also making sure that we have high expectations. Sometimes they come in conflict, and that's not always easy. We want to have high morale, but most important, while our employees are important, and I love all this, I'm going to turn to Dr. Rouse and say we need to show it in student achievement, because this is great. We have happy employees and we're moving in the right direction, but we've got to increase the graduation rate. We've got to increase the percentage of kids taking A through G classes. We've got to decrease the dropout rate. We've got a long way to go in those areas. And so hopefully by doing this, it'll transfer to increased student achievement for our students.
Yeah, and one more thing, get me going. I think this is foundational to what Dr. Greenberg is talking about. You need to have that, and then you build on that, because people that aren't happy at their work site are not going to do the students as much good, even though they'll put on blinders and try to forget all the issues and all that, and work hard for the students. I understand that, but with this, we're going to increase student participation and also academic achievement.
I do just want to say one last thing. Vicki grabbed me as I started to walk away, and she pointed out one really important thing. We've worked really hard at relationships, PRCs, SRCs. I'm working with CSEA, and those relationships are really powerful and moving towards student achievement. I completely agree with you. We've got to...
In fact, it was Mr. Holstrom who years ago pushed the PRC concept, and we brought in Linda Gubman, who is former administrator, former CTA official, who has worked really hard. And I know Tanya has worked very hard with CSEA, and I see Claudia every day. I'm working on it. But relationships are important. They're key.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Davis. Okay, some information items. Revised course on psychology meets A to G requirements. Revised course art history meets A to G requirements. New science course honors anatomy and physiology meets A to G requirements. Information item revolving cash report for January. Closed session if necessary.
Not necessary, Mr. President.
Thank you. Action item, board review of student discipline matters, approval of administrative hearing panel's recommendation. Do I have a motion? Second. I think Dr. Arouse had you, Ms. Cooley. Okay. And just by that much. Do we have any information on this one? I believe we already... Yeah. Okay, that's right. Okay, please vote. Thank you. Other items by the superintendent?
Just one other item. I was contacted by School Services of California and informed that one of our collaborating districts, Newview Union, has contracted with School Services to look at a unification study. So the good news is they're not hitting us up for half the bill. We all know that when unification occurs, all these districts, the Union High School District will someday be gone, and there'll be unified districts throughout. But what I would say is that clearly Menifee is closer to that reality than Newview. But Newview wants to do it. And, you can understand local control is one of the strongest factors in political science. When a community becomes large enough to be able to have their own high school or high schools and unify that and have a K-12 seamless education, it makes sense. But I will remind everybody that the 9 criteria established by the California State Legislature is a really high cliff to overcome, or high mountain to climb. And so I wish Newview the best, but just remember, as Cynthia would remind all of us, that they can do their own study, but if they actually are moving ahead and want to unify, they have to go through the Riverside County Committee on School District Organization. And so this all takes time, and Mrs. Twyman has been most patient during this time, but again, it's a process that we didn't create, but we have to live through, because certainly the Val Verde unification was the reason the legislature did come up with the 9 criteria, because the Val Verde unification almost bankrupted this school district, and it did bankrupt Val Verde. And so, well, regardless, my point, Mrs. Twyman, was not to in any way dissuade Menifee or Newview or Paris or Romoland from unifying. Just to remind everybody, I've been here for almost 9 years, We're still talking about it because, again, the 9 criteria are a very high threshold to achieve. And so, but hey, as long as we have these kids, we're going to educate them and do the very best we can, because all the students in the high school district belong to us, and we'll take very good care of them until those districts someday unify.
Okay, thank you. Other items by the Board of Trustees, Dr. Rouse?
No, Mr. President, I just want to make a comment, actually two. One of them is addressing what you already talked about it, Dr. Greenberg, the APAC Awards Night, the African American Parent Advisory Council. I want to say thank you for the invitation, especially to Mr. Carl Johnson, the one who invited us, to Mr. Johnson, and to reaffirm and say congratulations again to Jackie McDonald for your very well-deserved recognition, Jackie, and for everything that you do for our community. Right. Also, the second comment is regarding what Dr. Greenberg mentioned a few minutes ago about the good results that we receive and that we are seeing in the survey and the morale of the employees of our district. Those are great news. We are in the right direction, how Mr. Agúndez said. And I'm completely sure that it is going to translate into results, right? How Dr. Greenberg addressed some of those parameters that we have analyzed before. And today, Mr. Bennett made a presentation about the report from the FPM, right? And something that we are concerned, but we know that we already have a plan, Mr. Bennett, is the 451 students, English learners. 78% of them, they have these NFs. And I'm assuming that that is in English, Mr. Bennett? In one of their 7 classes. I just want to be proactive, and I want to ask in advance, because I know that it takes a lot of work, and I really appreciate all the work that you have placed getting that data. That is important. If we can, for the next fall, we can get the data of all the elements. But for the English learners, this is something really important. Do you think it would be possible to get this report and see what happened with that 78.5% at the end of this semester? Because I think we need to have an ongoing measurement of the progress and not wait until we have another analysis of this kind, but being proactive and see, okay, this is what we are going to be doing. Do we need more professional development, listening to the ideas, or Saturday school? Exactly, right? And getting the input also from the teachers in order to improve. Working together, we are going to make that difference. And keep it in mind, again, that as long as we are reducing or increasing those percents of students being successful, we are moving forward. And that's what it matters, and that's what our students and our community deserve. Yeah. So thank you for everything, all the work that has been happening, and I'm confident that we are going to improve these results by the end of the second semester.
Thank you, Dr. Rouse. Ms. Twyman, any comments? Ms. Cooley?
I wanted to comment on one of our ag teachers at Paris High School. I had to call today, forgetting that you're all gone. She answered the phone, and she's in the middle of the date festival with the cows and the 25 kids and the livestock. They're showing, and they're doing very, very well. They've taken, first place in showmanship and all that. And I wanted to, her name is Crystal Thomas, and she is a wonderful, wonderful ag teacher, works her heart out. The kids really love her. That was all. So.
Mr. Gunas, you're good?
You've been talking.
I do have one thing that was brought to my attention. We need to establish who's speaking at which graduation. The sites are asking, so we will have to. I know it's February and we're talking about graduation already, but the sites are asking, so we need to come up with a schedule of who is speaking where. Do we have the dates, or sometime in June? Yes, we do have the dates. They've been posted, but there's sometime in June.
We came to an agreement.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Would you like to know the dates?
I already, yeah, I know.
You know the dates.
Okay, then you can be quiet so we can hear the dates.
Nobody else knows. You
Okay.
gave them to
Yes,
me
Mr.
before.
Ortel, could you possibly give us the dates?
I did my homework. You sent us that.
I always do my homework.
Okay, Paris Lake and the adult ed program are on Tuesday, June 7th at the Paris High School meeting at 6 o'clock. So Paris Lake is on Tuesday. Wednesday we have Pinacati morning, which is June 8th at 9 a.m. And we have Paris High School that evening at 6 p.m. That's on June 8th. On June 9th, which is Thursday, we have Heritage High School at 6 p.m. That's also the last day of school, just FYI. And then on Friday, the 10th, we have CMI in the morning and Paloma Valley at 6 o'clock that night.
Yep.
I got it right here, old school.
Lori, you sent this to us.
Yes. So we need to come up with who is speaking. CMI traditionally we do not speak at.
From Paris High School. Oh,
Well, I'll take volunteers here.
okay, Paris High School. Paris High School.
You're doing Miss Cooley doing Paris High School.
Can I ask a big favor? I'm glad that we're talking about that. We have at Rubido High School, we have an exchange program with South Korea. So I want to have the opportunity for the third time, to travel there with some students from Rubido. And we are leaving from ALX on June 8th in the afternoon. So either Paris Lake or Pinacate in the middle, if that would be okay. Pinacate.
Okay, so Dr. Rouse or Pinacate.
I'm sorry?
That's at 9 o'clock.
It's at 9 o'clock. That's fine.
Before
The flight,
he leaves.
we'll leave like at 6 p.m., 6:30. Yeah.
You'll do Paris Lake. Mr. Gundes is doing Paris Lake. Joan is doing Paris High School.
Yay.
We have Paloma and Heritage.
I guess I'm doing those again. It'll be a third year in a row for both of those.
You're so good.
They are new students. That means I can use the same speech over and over again.
Yes. Well, they won't remember. I can use the same one over too.
All right, looks like the schedule's set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Agundes, also. Thank you.
Okay. That being said, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Second.
All right, please vote. And we are adjourned at 7:13.